Money FM 89.3, the best of the afternoon update.
Good Thursday afternoon to you. It's Lynn Lee with you on Industry Insight, where we delve into the latest trends, challenges and innovations shaping industries in Singapore and beyond. Today, we're zooming into the aviation industry in Southeast Asia. It's a region with booming air travel demand, expanding infrastructure and evolving airport services. In fact, it is poised for significant growth, with passenger numbers expected to reach 564 million by 2025. So what are the current innovations, technologies, and sustainable solutions in this sector? What will the airports of the future look like? And as airports evolve with AI and sustainability, how will smart airports change the way we travel? Joining me is James Wong, Senior Vice President for Southeast Asia and China at Menzies Aviation, which is a global leader in aviation services. James, great to have you on the show.
Great. Thanks, Lenny. Thanks for having me.
Looking forward to hear your thoughts and perspectives on key trends, challenges, and what the airports of the future will look like. So let's start with the basics. Southeast Asia, it's one of the fastest growing aviation markets in the world. How has this region's aviation industry evolved over the past few years, especially in airport services?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we look at this entire region holistically, it definitely is one of the fastest growing regions around the entire world. And we're seeing significant developments over the past few years, especially coming back out of COVID, in terms of extreme amounts of investments coming from a lot of the governments and the countries to really develop the aviation sector, not only just for the interreliabilities of the ASEAN, but to be even better to the rest of the world. And with that, we see the different economies starting to rise up, more disposable incomes coming from developing countries. And so it's nothing but good news, really, for the aviation sector right throughout the ASEAN and China.
Okay, and we're hearing about increasing passenger and cargo volumes, investment in infrastructure, as well as demand for efficiency in ground services. So with air traffic increasing, what are the biggest challenges facing airport operations and ground services at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of the challenges kind of stem from legacy infrastructure. Probably a portion of that hasn't necessarily been invested in over the past few decades.
Are we seeing shortages in terms of manpower, in terms of staff, with so much going on?
Yeah, I think the labor issue is, it's always been around. The reality is that COVID definitely put a big light on it because a lot of the experience have exited the industry. Mm-hmm. And traditionally, it had been a very labor-intensive industry when it comes to ground handling and airport services. What's great about the new technologies now, things like AI, greater focus on sustainability, is that we're able to create more meaningful work. And I think that that's really key to really understanding how we give back to society, the communities, and the people that are actually in the industry. How can we support them with better tools, upskill, and really drive that level of advancement in people's careers, and in turn, the industry getting a higher skilled labor workforce that has the potential to continue to advance within their careers. So it's really a mutual benefit in understanding what's causing the labor shortage, what's different in the new generation of the workers, and what do we have to do as an industry to support that and re-attract that talent back into the aviation sector.
Okay. James, technology is really reshaping many, many industries, including aviation services, from automation in baggage handling to AI-driven passenger processing. So how are airports in this region, in Southeast Asia, adopting innovation in ground operations?
Yeah, absolutely. Automation is one of the bigger things right now that's coming up throughout the airports. We see in Hong Kong and in Singapore, automated baggage tractors moving cargo from point A to point B. We're starting to see AI-assisted resource management when it comes to rostering or the assigning of tasks to different working groups. We're starting to see better telematics on equipment so we know where things are. And all of those tools are really there to create more efficiency and provide more productivity on a per manpower basis or a per headcount basis. And I think that is fantastic. We see the airports really driving this technology and working in partnership with the ground handlers, such as Menzies or the companies like that, to really develop that hand in hand. And even this upcoming conference next week at the Inner Airports in Singapore is a great opportunity for us to continue those kind of collaborative discussions with industry, with the airports, with government organizations that are really trying to advance those kind of benefits.
Okay, let's speak about cargo. Now, e-commerce has driven huge demand for air freight. So how is the air cargo sector adapting to this surge?
Yeah, absolutely. Since COVID, we've seen a huge influx of new cargo carriers. It never used to be that much of a focus pre-COVID, but that really changed consumer behaviors on an international basis. E-commerce has really driven that demand, and more so than just the demand for air cargo capacity, but in terms of the speed of delivery. People that are ordering from Lazadas and Shopees and Pinduoduo, they all want their products right away. And that's really driven a need for innovative solutions for getting express cargo from point A to point B. Now, we see some of the challenges, but needs for development in all aspects of that supply chain, everywhere from the manufacturer through the airport services, all the way through to customs and immigrations to try to expedite the delivery of those goods down to the last mile. So I think as the demand continues, new carriers come out of the woodworks to provide capacity, lots of opportunities to be had, and lots of innovation.
Yeah, and Menzies Aviation, you guys have been leaders, industry leaders, very established in this space. So how is Menzies Aviation positioning itself for growth in the region?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's nice about us is that we are established internationally right across more than 300 airports around the world. So as we begin to continue our growth and expansion in Southeast Asia, part of our goal is to provide the network benefits that we have and leverage the global shared services and technologies that we have to provide those types of standards and processes into this region. Really, the integration on a global level and working with our global partners, we're able to offer a level of cooperation and collaboration between our existing partners in other parts of the world and our new partners here within Southeast Asia and China, and help them develop and align with some of the more common practices that do exist, and where they need extra expertise, we can help collaborate and consult with them as well, give them some of those advantages. We hope to see an immense trajectory of growth in Southeast Asia, and more so than that, to really work hand in hand with the different governments on how we can help them grow the aviation sector responsibly and provide opportunities back to the social needs of each particular locale that we're in.
Indeed, a very exciting space to be in. I think talking about airports of the future, in 10 or 20 years, you wonder what airports would look like in Southeast Asia. Last year, we heard about Changi Airport Group investing $3 billion over the next 6 years in Singapore Changi Airport terminals to improve services like baggage handling, check-in, immigration, different stuff, to facilitate smoother passenger and airline experience. Now, these investments, I would imagine, will help Changi Airport stay competitive. And of course, there's Terminal 5, which will be operational in the mid-2030s. These billions going into smart technology investments and sustainability initiatives. Are we seeing this in other airports in the region?
There's a significant amount of investments going in right now. We see the market in countries like Vietnam and China and Indonesia and Malaysia, where they're rapidly constructing new airports. And even when we look at Singapore Changi with T5 coming online in the next decade, very, very exciting. You know what? Singapore is in a fantastic spot in terms of having that capability and that drive to invest. We are seeing that in the other Southeast Asian countries, probably not to the same scale or advancement. But that said, a lot of the countries here in the ASEAN really looked towards Singapore and even Hong Kong as the high bar of what they want to achieve. And I think that's fantastic in the Changi Airport Group. They definitely do set the bar and set the example, and their involvement within the ASEAN is extremely important. And we can see that influence and that impact right across the entire region. I believe that probably in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll see continued development in the countries where they have the capability and the investments. And as the aviation community continues to grow in terms of more demand, more routes, more flying and frequency, those countries will be able to develop similar revenues to reinvest back into the sector, hopefully benefit from a lot of the innovation and the trailblazing that the Changi Airport Group can demonstrate.
Wow, fascinating. Before we go, any final thoughts on what industry stakeholders should be focusing on in the coming years?
Yeah, you know what? All of us look at the airport sector sometimes as a labor challenge or a labor shortage. A lot of us are very focused on sustainability and reduction in carbon emissions. But really, I think that our challenge goes beyond just that. You know, when we look at sustainability initiatives, we need to be all-encompassing, not just carbon reduction, but in fact, how do we contribute in a meaningful way back to society while providing a very high level of service and efficiency and satisfying the needs of not only the aircraft operators, the carriers, but also the communities that we're in, and how do we give back, really? Because it's the world going the way that it is, and the different economics all over, the impacts of, you know, trade wars or even geopolitical instability. At the end of the day, our goal is to advance the world and provide safe transport for our neighbors, you know, our families and our friends. So I think that the sector is primed for growth. It's definitely an exciting one, something new every single day. And again, opportunities for conferences, and Singapore leading the way within this region is a great way for us to be collaborative, not just competitively in business, but definitely as a community as a whole in aviation.
Fantastic. So many things to talk about, so little time. James, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate your insights and your time. James Wong from Menzies Aviation. He is Senior Vice President for Southeast Asia and China.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.